All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is Citizen Z. I forgot it I forgot it. I went straight from here. I went straight from here to La Crosse.
Yeah.
And I forgot it. And as soon as I got in the car, I went, oh. You blew it, boy.
Valid excuse.
I blew it, though. I really blew it.
Shout out to my guy Bob at Mr. Tires. Got my Summers on today.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. If you own a Tesla, and I'm starting to feel that way about Apple so far, it's been pretty good. I wouldn't do any of the updates. Because what I signed up for from a driving experience
perfect.
Is not what I'm getting now. Like, it's a constant reminder. Like, my hand is on the wheel. It can't get more on the wheel than it is. There's nothing that I can do to get it more on the wheel than it is. I don't, even when I'm in full autopilot, there's always a hand on the wheel. I'm never both off. Like, there's always one on. It's there. And just Sunday, I got dinged with if you do this 2 more times, you're done.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like.
By the way, it wipes off in a week.
Right, but it's like, what are we doing? Come on, I got the hand on it.
They need pressure or heat sensors.
That's heat sensors. Now you're talking, so you
can't put like an inanimate object on it, but they know that you're
heat sensors.
Human hands there. They have the technology.
They definitely have the technology. Yeah.
We have the means. Shocked to tell you that I actually need new brakes as well.
Wow, first time.
Only at 173,000 miles, so
you'll take it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good run.
Pretty good.
That's a good run out of that.
Yeah.
So we have a nice we had a very nice morning, but I'm told Armageddon is coming.
Let's not say that. Tonight's the debut of Thursday night golf league with me and the kid.
Thursday night golf. What time are you playing?
5:30. I have a couple. So I have 2 apps that are telling me what I want, and they have one app that's telling me what I don't want.
What you don't want.
I have one app that says no rain at all. I have one app that says 4 100ths of an inch total between the hours of 3 and 5, and then nothing. And then I have one app that says like 0.2 of an inch between like 3 and 6, which I don't want. Nobody wants that.
Well, what app do you have? I use the AccuWeather. It's not going to be. It's not going to be the rain that's going to be the problem, because you're a mudder. I mean, you can throw in some rain gear and you're going to be fine. It's those lightning bolts that are a little problematic.
Yep.
So the AccuWeather, no, not Aurora, Colorado, for God's sakes. What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on.
AccuWeather, you can actually have it locked in at Walden, which I do. So I can get a little bit more specificity.
All right. Okay. So let's see where we're at. Yeah. All right. Lightning bolt at 5. Lightning bolt at 7. Lightning bolt at 8. So the lightning bolts, I think, are going to be your problem.
I think we're fine.
I think the rain, you're safe, pal. You're safe.
All right, fine. Good.
I think you're good. You and Kid are a team. Is this all summer?
Yeah. It's a season.
Have you ever had a teammate like that for that long in an athletic endeavor? One singular human?
Yeah. Because I just haven't been able to do it in the modern era. But back in the day, at my old club, there was a season-long 2-man tournament.
Oh.
Me and Doug Bloom, Ohio State tennis legend.
Oh.
Handed out the worst beating that I've ever been a part of in golf.
You administered.
Nobody's ever been. I mean, other people may have been part of a beating of this magnitude, but couldn't beat anybody worse. We played in a 2-man match. We won 10 straight holes. We won 10 and 8.
Well,
we were dormy after 9, and then we won 10, and that was it.
That would be. Why were these guys competing with you?
It was just one of those days like. Bloom at the time was like an 18, and I was a scratch, and he got a shot on every hole, and he basically parred 5 of the first 10 holes, something like that, and then I like birdied the other 5. It was just it was silliness. And by the end, they were just like, to hell with it, like forget it,
we're good.
Yeah, they're like, then they started making like triple bogeys. So maybe we weren't that good. Maybe there were a few holes that we weren't like net birdie or a legit birdie, but by the end, they were just like. When you lose 7 holes in a row to start a match, it takes a toll on a human.
Yeah, that's pretty demoralizing. at this point.
Feels like it would be.
I do think that more and more clubs are getting smart with the multiple tee boxes, and I think that more and more people ought to use those multiple tee boxes.
Yes,
I know where you're going to go.
For example, in tonight's league, we could be playing somebody who's playing from the whites. No. We all have to play same tees. I don't care if you want me to play the whites with you.
Then you got to make sure
all
that
have to play the same tees.
The stroke has got to be significant.
They change.
Wavering, yeah.
But that's it. You go in and you figure out what your handicap is. You just select the set of tees, and the Gin app does it there.
I'll push back, and I know this is your sport. To me, like where your handicap is should be where you tee from.
That maybe I could be more okay with that.
Yeah.
But like we have, I think ours is maybe age based. So we have some dudes in
their
60s who are like scratch golfers.
No.
And then they're going to play from the whites in the Thursday night league because they can.
Bush. No, we like Bush. That's Bush League.
Yeah, no way.
There's no way. You cannot have because the advance in technology with the clubs, the driver, the ball, all of it, and the fact that people are staying in shape better longer. No, can't be. It's not age. That's a huge mistake. And they also should. It's not because they'll have like the ladies' tees.
Yep.
No. It should be handicap. Handicap tees. That's what they should be. It shouldn't be regardless of age.
So just like for example, right?
It's a great
right now at Walden. I am a 4 from the Blues.
Is that tips?
That's no. From the tips, I would be. Ooh, baby, tips, I'd be a 7. That'd be silly.
Get back there, buddy.
Yeah. From the whites, I'm a 2. Let me tell you something. The whites are a 700-yard difference. That's not a 2-shot difference. So they have not figured out how to do that.
They haven't figured that out.
So, like, I would gladly give up anybody in the planet and play them as a 2. I got to play from the whites. They had to still play from the Blues where I would have been a 4. Like, I'll smoke them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So that, to me, the handicap doesn't even equate for it enough. That's why we all just have to play the same tees. So if you want us to do it by lowest common denominator instead of highest common denominator, so like if there's somebody that's that bad, so then we all have to play the whites in a match situation where you're paired up with random people, not your own game, then I think we all have to play the whites. I'd give up 2 shots to move up to the whites.
Yeah, they don't
have a hurry.
I think what you just demonstrated, though, is they don't have that right.
No, they do not have it right.
They don't have that right. Yeah. The handicap part, they don't have right. Because it's certainly more than 2 shots to go 700-yard difference.
600 yards. Like, the reality of it is that should be 6 shots. Like, the way that it's pretty much meted out, right, is that every 100 yards is a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly.
No, but close enough. So that should be a 6-shot swing.
Or at least 5.
Yeah, if you're a 4 from the Blues, then you'd probably be a +2 from the...
Or a +1.
+1 from the whites. Yeah.
And they change, like they're saying the Blues to the whites. Here's the other part. If you're a scratch golfer, they're saying the Blues to the whites is only a 3-shot difference. There's no way. There's just no way.
Yeah, Connor with the K shaking his head as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
that's my problem is that so we're going to go in this league, and you could play a guy who's a legit golfer who's going to play from the whites.
Yeah.
And I still have to play from the Blues. I got no problem if like it's Thursday night league. That's how it rolls. This is the lowest common. If somebody elects to play from the whites because they're eligible to.
Yeah. What's the age eligibility on that?
I think it's 60. We all play from the whites then.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not that far away. You throw me out the whites, I'm going to smoke people.
You can't wait. It's going to be unbelievable. You get up there.
The thing is,
you're the example, though. Like when you get there, it's going to be like, this is silly. What am I doing up here?
Of course it's silly.
Yeah. All right, some house cleaning to take care of. We talked about this yesterday. Elijah Moore signs a 1-year contract with the Bills. It's worth up to $5 million per Adam Schefter. We had placed that UFA tender on him. The tender would have been worth 110% of the player's previous year's salary since Moore signed with another team prior to July 22nd. His signing now still factors into compensatory draft formula for 2026. If he didn't sign elsewhere prior to that date, the Browns would have had exclusive negotiating rights with him. So did that go according to plan with Elijah Moore? And
I think they would have liked him to be here.
That's a rarely
used
thing. Yeah.
But by the way, it's only every time that it has been used, that person has signed somewhere else, which is odd. So at least they get something out of it in terms of losing him for the compensatory pick formula, but I think they would have rather just had him.
So, as we mentioned earlier this week, the Browns did reportedly sign wide receiver Deontay Johnson to a 1-year deal. I know we're going to do a state of the offense tomorrow, but let's just do a quick Well, that's what G-Man has on the rundown, so we just do it.
You can trust me 100%.
That was very good burgundy-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me that receiver room right now, if you do have Deontay Johnson.
Judy, Deontay Johnson, Tillman, Bell, Thrash, Mike Woods.
Who's out there still? You need
but that's the room, I think.
That's it. But is that
Keenan
is
Allen's
that a room
still
that's
out there?
I'm trying to give me a list of free agents. Boy, the internet tip-top shape today, buddy.
All right, here we go. Best remaining free agents after the draft. Here's one. Amari Cooper.
Do they have $100 million to spend on him though?
I don't know.
Pedro reported it.
Keenan Allen. The safety Justin Blackmon feels like he makes a lot of sense for me for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
But I think those are probably those are the two big names would be Amari and Keenan Allen. Now, other guys who could maybe help if you're thinking about it from let's call it a speed standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Aguilar, DJ Chark.
Okay.
And then that might be.
Yeah, you're starting to get down there a little bit. What happened to Amari last year was so strange.
Very strange.
I mean, I just assumed that he would go over there and be target number 1.
Agreed.
For Josh Allen. And it just
did not work
happen.
out that way. No.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys still out there on the free agency side of things. So we'll see where all of that transpires. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders is in town, made an appearance at John Marshall High School in Cleveland yesterday, speaking to students, saying, quote, "I'm trying to bring Cleveland a Super Bowl, but off the field I want to bring more hope and positivity to the city, and connecting with young people is one of the best ways to do it." He's been here, according to his Instagram, for a couple of days.
Yep.
And he'll be here next week for rookie minicamp. But
yep.
It's good to see. Good to see him in town. And
it is
doing
good to see.
things.
The next point we have here is obviously about the Lakers and LeBron. And I think it is one of the most stunning things. And I saw this today and I had to triple verify because it just didn't make sense to me what I read.
Okay.
Since he's been with the Lakers, he won it in the bubble.
Yep.
In 20.
Yep.
And in 23, they got swept in the Western Conference Finals by, I believe, the Nuggets.
Yes, that's right. They got all the way to the Western Final. Yeah.
Other than that, it's either been missed playoffs or out in the first round.
Yeah. He's year 22. He's a 40-year-old man.
He's had Anthony Davis or Luka Doncic.
I know, but
the whole time.
If you watch this series, I don't know how much you watched of them against Minnesota, they did not have the length, the depth, the physicality, the shooting to match him. I mean, Redick was playing his 5 starters. He played them the entire
second half, right?
Second half on Sunday. I watched that game.
Yeah.
The game. I'll be honest. The game last night. I'm looking at this. It's 3-1. It's in L.A. It's LeBron. It's Luka. And I'm saying, well, this is getting to a game 6 minimum. They're going to find a way to get this to a game 6. There's no way this isn't. Go to bed at your normal time. You don't need to stay up and watch this. So that was my headspace going to bed last night because I've enjoyed this series.
Yep.
Anthony Edwards is a dog, and I like the way LeBron and Luka, I like watching them play, and I'm curious how that all works. So I was going to watch it. I think it's going to 6. There's no question. I mean, NBA will make sure we get to 6, and I don't believe in conspiracy, but at the same time, it feels like in that league especially, when there is something like what transpired last night, somehow, some way, it finds a way to get to a 6 game. So I wake up this morning and I see that it did not get to a 6 game. And that Mike Conley, of all people, former Buckeye, who's been in the league forever, bounced around, hit a huge 3 late in the game that kind of iced it for Minnesota.
And then didn't a big guy hit a 3?
Well, Rudy Gobert he was basically Will Chamberlain last night is what it amounts to. And the Lakers don't have any bigs, so they can't. There was no way to combat it.
What happened to that trade? Remember the trade?
Yeah,
they got flunked the physical, but then
to Charlotte.
Played the next day and had a double-double.
I don't know what that was about. I don't know that do you have an answer to that, G-Man?
Yeah, so the Mark Williams trade got vetoed by the NBA because Mark Williams failed his physical when he got to L.A.
But then he played for Charlotte, so I guess
he played, yeah.
The Lakers could have just waived him failing it and say, we'll take on the risk of him failing the physical. Yeah. We're cool with it. We know he can play, and they chose not to.
Yeah.
And then Dalton Connect is who came back, and he didn't even play.
He did not connect.
How awkward do you think that was for Dalton Connect?
Quite.
You didn't want me, but I'm here.
Yeah, quite. And he was actually having a pretty good rookie year. So I heard a lot of conjecture about this could be, the end for LeBron that this could be it. And he's 40, year 22. Like, he can't do this forever. He's very clearly a second to Luka with the Lakers, even though he's at times, I think even last night he got more shots up than Luka did. But it's going to be the two going forward, which I think would be appealing for him in terms of this point in his career. There are a couple of ways you can retire in professional sports. You can do like Michael Jordan did the first time with Chicago, which was just kind of like, all right, I'm done. See on down the line. Now he came back.
Well, you could do that if you had some other things going on at the time.
No, I'm not talking about the first mini one. I'm talking about after the second three-peat, because he did come back in Washington too, which was part of ownership and all of that play. But I'm talking about the second time, I guess. He retired 3 times. But the second time he retired was much similar to the first time he retired, which was, I'm done. No pomp and circumstance. I'm done. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did like a tour.
Yeah.
Dr. J did a tour. Like, that was kind of like last year, celebrate them, every arena. This is your last chance. Kobe did this on terrible Lakers teams. I was at his last game here. We went, and I watched his last game here, and it was really cool to
score
pay homage.
60 in his last game?
He scored 60 in his final game at Staples. I'm pretty sure he took over 50 shots.
Yeah.
Get the MIT kids on it, but I'm pretty sure he took over 50 shots to get to 60.
I think he was like
a good
29
quarter,
for 51.
Yeah,
60
like
points
I think he
Utah.
I'm pretty sure he took 50 shots.
Yeah.
It was thrilling. I mean, he hit some
awesome.
crazy shots, and he got 60 on an irrelevant Lakers team.
They were getting crushed in that game, too.
Yeah.
They were. And just
willed
kept
them
shooting.
back, basically.
He just kept shooting. He shot every time down. I loved watching it.
Yeah,
to me, LeBron strikes me as more the former than the latter. I'm sorry, the latter than the former. I think he's going to want the tour.
Absolutely.
And he's going to want last time at Madison Square Garden, last time at Rocket Field House or Rocket Arena, whatever it is, last time in Miami. He's going to last All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to want all that comes with that. I don't sense that he's just going to disappear into the thin of the night with I'm done. I don't see
that either. No, I'd agree with you. I would agree with you.
He'll be 22 of 50 in his final game.
22 of
50.
It's 44%. It's not terrible.
60 points on 50 shots. That's
pretty terrible.
the epitome of
Not a lot of
efficiency.
efficiency. I'm just saying. It's, when everybody at some point in that game, everybody knew he was shooting it every time, so that makes it adds the degree
10 and 12
difficulty.
from the free throw line too.
I don't know if you guys saw this.
Not a lot of threes for Kobe in that one.
No, not a lot of threes.
A lot of mid-ranges.
This is the game.
That was him.
Go ahead.
This is something that I find very appealing. I'm just not in the market for irons, but if I were, I might be all over this. So, tailor-made in honor of Rory's win.
Yep.
Is releasing his actual irons. It is rare that they will release to the general public, the actual irons that are played by one of their players.
Okay.
So they are releasing right now for 4 iron through pitching wedge. It's available from May 1st till May 15th, 2 weeks only, $1,500 a pop for the set, which is actually
seems pretty reasonable.
Not
for
crazy.
That. Yeah.
They're called the Roars Proto, and that's what it says on them. They are releasing these to the general public, and you can get them in your loft, your lie. You can fully customize them to you, but you are going to get the exact iron shape, all of it, the unique things about it. So he has like 7 and 8 iron are different than the rest of the set. They've got a different top line. They've got different grooves. He has the Tiger Woods grooves in his irons as opposed to the 730s, even though they're inspired by the 730s. So it's like a fully customized exactly what it is the exact iron head that Rory McIlroy plays. That is very rare that that stuff's not on the shelves. That's not how it works.
What handicap minimum would you have to be able to hit them?
I think you would probably want to be
Scratch?
single digit. I think single digit's fine.
Yeah. You'd have to be somebody who knows your way around a golf course because they're blades, obviously. They're not going to be easy to hit.
They're based off the 730s, though, which are,
yeah.
If you've got to be, I think, a single digit.
Otherwise, it's a big waste of time, probably.
Yeah, but they're going to be they're really cool. They've got dots on it to symbolize each of his major wins. They're beautiful. It's really cool.
Do you think he is a big enough star for the demand to be there?
I don't look. Number one, it's only available custom. Like I said, it's only available for 2 weeks, and you will not get them because they will be each one that is made will be made to order. You will not get them until, if you live in Cleveland, basically after this golf season. It's not shipping until September of this year.
Oh, that's what it says on there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they'd be...
it's somebody who's really, really good. Maybe you really like the 730s, but it was time for you to upgrade your TaylorMade irons, like you just worn them out or whatever it was. Then that would be... I think you'd have to be familiar with it because it's not like you can go... like I did a windmill and go demo these. They're not gonna. There's no way.
No.
It's sweet though. Like this is
a cool thing to do
for a golf junkie and somebody who was really good and kind of a golf nerd about this stuff. Like this is truly a rare opportunity to experience and play Rory McIlroy's irons. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I am getting some couple of, we have, our various weather pigeons who are out and about, right at work. Very warm on the west side, starting to get dark, gusts up to 45 miles an hour.
I'm not afraid of the wind because I strike the ball cleanly. In fact, quite frankly, I think it would give me an advantage, especially if we got some people playing from the white tees which is going to put me
I feel like you're concerned about this white tee situation.
A very bad mood. So the last time I played in this league, we played a guy, and I was furious because I knew him and played golf with him, and he always plays the blues in his own game, but then goes and plays the whites and was way too good to be playing for the whites. And
you couldn't shake it.
So when I get angry, I can get real dialed, and I got real dialed. Just smoked this guy, and was.
Oh, you were running it.
Oh yeah.
Did you know him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So at least you're
not well.
Oh, really?
I'd play golf with him maybe once, but it was ridiculous.
It's absurd. What are you doing up there?
Yeah.
What was his handicap?
4.
Oh, and he was up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not right. That's what I think. It shouldn't be age and it shouldn't be sex dependent. It should be handicap.
Yeah.
Everybody go to the Blues, record handicap from the Blues, scores from the Blues, then you get to play this tee box based on where it is.
You got to be like 14 or up before you're going to the whites.
Well, whatever it may be, but but they got to get that right too.
Yeah,
like the distance in the boxes is probably too much in some instances and not enough in others. Like sometimes the difference in the box is 5 yards on some. It's nothing.
But in this, so 600. So on average,
yeah,
that's a significant amount. It's a 35-yard difference. So that's like the difference for some people hitting like woods in versus being able to hit irons in, or if you're a really good driver of the golf ball, like I'm playing every par 5 is going to be like 440. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to be hitting. I get a driver wedge,
bombing it in there. Yeah. So I told you a couple of weeks ago we had a big neighborhood text chain about coyotes in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right? So then there was a video shared in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
of a coyote with the golden doodle.
Yep.
And growing up where I did, in my now we call them coyotes, but I notice people out here call them coyotes, so I'm just going to go with that.
I like a coyote. No. I'm
coyote.
West
okay.
Coast as well.
Right. West. Okay, coyote. So in the video from the ring that they shared in the neighborhood,
okay,
the golden doodle to me looks like it's playing with the coyote. So they're doing what big dogs do. What big dogs do when they play is they wrestle.
Yeah.
They put their mouths on each other's necks and they chase each other around. That's what big dogs do, okay? So these two do this, and then there's kind of a standoff. Golden doodle on the porch. The coyote is in the grass, probably no more than 20 feet away. Owner calls in golden doodle, and we're done.
Yep.
I've never seen this. I've never seen a coyote play with a dog, okay? But that's what it looked like to me. As someone who's had big dogs and has had...
I feel like he was sussing it out. He was like...
First of all, the golden doodle is bigger than the
That's what I'm saying. The coyote was
sure.
being...
Yeah.
Like if this was Asa Woody out there, coyote maybe is...
different, maybe a different tone.
Aggressive.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I spoke about this on my morning show, and sure enough, an Ohio State professor of wildlife ecology said, well, I have some thoughts, and it turns out he is the foremost expert on the urban coyote.
Fantastic. So what did he have to say?
Bring him on. Let's go. He provided some incredible insight. Among the insights that he provided was that coyotes will, in fact, play with dogs. And especially in an urban setting, they're like, hey.
What's up, dude?
You look like me. Sort of.
Yeah.
Can we be friends? You want to hang?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So he said that's very common. He wrote a book about it, and he's the foremost expert in it. They followed coyotes in Chicago for like 25 years. There was a point where like coyotes were moving into the city for food, right? Because urban sprawl happens, so they move into the city for food. And coyotes got to the point where they were so smart that they can identify traffic patterns. So they will cross streets that, for example, like if a street's a one-way, they know it's a one-way.
Yeah.
They know what a red light means.
Good for them.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. And yet their number one source of food, other than predators that they, because they're an apex predator in an urban setting. There isn't anything that's going to take them out other than human. And the one thing that they would do for food, other than like rodents, was grave sites. That's what he said. So I went,
come again?
what are we? That's exactly what I thought, Connor with a K. I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. We got coyotes in urban Chicago digging up graves and eating remains? Is that what, really? No. I mean, that seems so aggressive. So I panicked. And he goes, no. So then he went on to explain that there are certain cultures that to this day at grave sites of loved ones, they leave food. Oh. Like certain Asian cultures would bring like rice and meat and leave it at the grave site. Certain Caribbean cultures would do the same. And the coyotes go and crush the food.
Sounds great. It's like a buffet.
It's all there for me. It's incredible. But yeah,
did he say while it's fun they may play, but you still don't want
you don't want them.
You don't want any. Yeah, you don't.
No,
that can't be your friend.
No, no. And he said by and large they don't travel because I've heard people say, oh, they're in packs. Not really. This time of year, by the way, the next 5 weeks, this is the mating season stuff. So they're particularly territorial right now. But that normally it's like the apex or the alpha mom and dad, they kind of run things. The other thing that they've done because of the urban situation is like where I grew up, you'd see them all types, mostly during the day, you'd see them all the time. But here in an urban situation, they become nocturnal.
Yeah, night.
Savvy. Yep. Nature's amazing, dude.
Well, they do say too, if you do see one here during the day, that's when you got to be real careful that might be more of a rabid situation.
Yeah, you worry about that. Yeah. But the other thing is like if you're somebody who, for example, leaves your garbages out, well, there you go. Yep. I mean, that's which you're inviting them.
Well, that's our neighborhood doctrine. You must put your garbage out on.
Well, you're in the thick of it. I mean, you got pond there. You got all sorts of critters that could be in the mix.
We've had a lot of raccoons.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of skunks.
They're the worst.
Yeah. Because
you can't get rid of them.
No.
Without a final.
I'll never forget when the guy came in a hazmat suit to take it out. I'm like, what is going on here?
Dude, you have to live catch them, and because any sort of
we had one that perished of its own under our deck. So the smell was always there.
Oh my gosh.
But then they took it out. It was fine.
How long did it take you to get the smell away?
Honestly, not long. Once it was removed.
Pretty quick?
Pretty quickly.
Man.
Yeah.
It's dicey.
Yeah.
Head on to Swivel, kids. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns.
These Clems are outrageous.
It's a great Clementine. You know what I like? Ease of peel.
Couldn't be easier.
Compared to an orange, the ease of peel could not be easier.
The EOP is off the charts.
So good.
Great. Just a reminder that it is a Mailbag Thursday.
Good job at UG, man. It is a Mailbag Thursday. If you have questions about coyotes.
Quite frankly, I also think that part of this Mailbag Thursday should be G-Man and J-Mac just get to ask us whatever they want.
Sold. Here's something else. We could do that at 2:15. Let's make them 2 segments. Here's another thing that I asked him about. I said I'm going to get you out of here on this one. 100 men versus a gorilla. He starts laughing.
No chance, humans.
He goes, gorilla by 1 billion. Not close.
So there are a lot of people that are feeling this way.
I think we're wrong.
I don't know.
I think we're wrong. The Hoff, wildlife ecologist at Ohio State.
100 Hoffs are beating a gorilla.
He says no. The Hoff says no.
He's a tremendous wilderman.
He brought out one of the great takes on this, one of the great things I hadn't thought about, which is surface area of the gorilla. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Like you can't, how are you going to get 10 people on an arm? He's not just going to sit there and let you. It's a great job out of Hoff. Always thinking next level.
I do think the most vulnerable spot it's the eyes.
If you can get near them, how you getting near them? That's the problem.
We got to figure it out.
And everyone says, "Oh, get him to the ground." He lives on the ground, dude. He's on all fours all the time.
For sure, but like the idea that if there are 80 dudes lying on top of him in a pile, like he's not just going to go like.
How are the 80 going to get on him?
Diving.
Wildlife ecologist Ohio Sate says no. No chance.
No chance.
No chance.
Did you ask him about the eyes?
I did go over a strategy, and he said he goes, the problem is no one would ever be able to get you could not coordinate it to where you could all – it basically used the Hoff's point. That's what was so impressive about Hoff's point is you could never coordinate it to where all of you could get near him at the same time to latch on. Like if he was held down, you could all grab him, maybe.
Yeah.
But any scenario where you bum rush him, no chance. Because you couldn't get close enough.
So I do feel like while he's swinging this way, some people could come diving in on the ground and get on a leg and just hold on. And then you need somebody on top and keep going.
Connor with the case like, no.
It's not happening, man.
It's not. I think it's not.
I believe
32 teams.
The ingenuity of man. I've seen men.
No, the other thing was the no weapon aspect.
Well, yeah, of course you have weapons.
Because there's no way that's the part, though, is like there's no way to pierce the skin. The skin is so tough. Your eye gouge plan is the best plan, but I think you go near him, he just closes them, and you can't get in there. Then you're cooked.
Well, then he's blind.
And he's going to bite off your head. I'm sorry. I think we're just wrong on this.
I don't want to be.
I know. 32 teams.
I feel like I'm going to be honest, and this is like a little dystopian, but I think that we should have like, if there's like 100 people on death row,
well, I use that too.
For it, like, let's see it.
So I use that too. The problem with the death row, is, as was pointed out to me by Anthony Schlegel, former Buckeye linebacker, is
that they're already on death row.
No.
Oh.
That most of the death row guys aren't violent criminals in sense physically. It's usually weapons. So he's like, they would have no chance. Like, by and large, they would be weak and they would be, like they usually use a weapon. Like these aren't Green Berets, right? They're not Navy SEALs. So you need Navy SEAL training, death row incentive.
What if there was a scenario where you took, let's take.
Or clones.
Let's find 100 prisoners in this country that are serving sentences that are pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And they are told they get to do this, and if they win,
Yeah.
they are immediately free.
Okay.
If they lose, they're going to perish.
Yeah. Understood.
But you only take people who are in from like physical assault or are in great shape or whatever, and you give them a offer. So they're voluntarily doing this.
I have a question that has just come to my mind out of this. So you're doing this to prove your point is correct.
I don't know.
Hold on.
I'm doing it to find out.
No, hold on. Let's just pretend that you are. You're trying to find a scenario where your point will be correct. In that scenario, do you root for you being correct in the 100 violent men or the gorilla?
Great question. I just want to find out what happens.
This is taking a bizarre turn.
I'm going all gorilla.
Have you ever seen the show The Running Man, G-Man?
No.
This is like a very...
You haven't seen it?
Oh, my God. Oh, it holds up.
I think they're remaking it.
It holds up. No, don't. It's perfect.
I think they're remaking it. All right, 32
Jeremy
teams.
in Akron says 100
Did
MMA
you know there's
guys
32
could take
teams
the
in the
gorilla without 10 casualties.
100 what?
MMA guys.
Oh, Jeremy in Akron. Come on, dude.
I don't know, Jeremy.
I don't think the Hoff's wrong.
I'm not here to prove my point right. I'm more just like I feel like we need to see this. I feel like we as a people need to see this, and that feels like a way where
I just gave you the roadmap. I just think I'm rooting for gorilla in that instance.
That's fine.
I'm a big gorilla guy.
I might be a huge gorilla guy.
Do you know the one school in this country that I know of that is the gorillas? Are you familiar?
In this country?
Yeah. Actually, a Division II powerhouse.
EOP.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh State.
Pittsburgh State Gorillas.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Division II national champions.
Feels like there should be more.
In Kansas, out of Kansas, I believe.
No
which is
H at the end of Pittsburgh as well.
No, yeah, but that's very, very cool. All right, we will do 32 teams and 32 questions. It's coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Runs Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk & Elk, serious lawyers, serious injuries. 1-800-ELK, Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. There are 32 teams in the NFL, and therefore there are 32 questions.
Yeah, you can make 32. 8 times 4. 4 times 8. 2 times 16.
2. We could do this.
We could do it. 32 times 1.
Works very well.
64 divided by 2. Bam.
There you go. There you go. All right, this is from ESPN NFL Nation. I do like all the NFL Nation stuff because those are people who cover the team and giving their thoughts. And in most instances, the people who cover that team are pretty plugged in. Most instances, they are. All right. This is the draft. What do we got here, G-Man? Give me the rules.
I think these
of the
are
game.
just the questions right here.
Yeah, the questions for the AFC North.
Oh, I see. So
Let's
I got all
start
these
with those.
papers. What are these papers for? Oh, you printed out the questions. What a job out of you. All
There you
right.
go.
Let's start in the division. Let's not start with us. Let's start with
this is printed out. I think this is. Are those the questions? I thought this was
No, I
his
have it.
favorite 100 picks for Matt.
That
No,
is
that's
Matt
something else.
Miller's
That's
favorite 100.
Well, and then there's also Monson's.
Get a
coming
grip on
in the
college
second.
with Chegg. What's Chegg? I
No,
don't
no.
know.
32 questions.
Oh, you
It's
don't know
right
what
here.
Chegg is?
No,
I
should
have
I?
no idea. What is it?
Chegg aided me quite a bit through college.
Good.
What's Chegg? Can you say it, or you don't want to?
So,
Save it.
Yeah,
Save
Let's
it.
not put yourself in a
Let's not put you in a position.
of
All right.
plagiarism.
it's a resource. Yeah.
Baltimore, question. Does drafting a kicker signal the end for Justin Tucker? I'll tell you what, if this is their problem, they're all right.
No kidding.
We're trying to answer these questions, I'd imagine. Probably, right? I mean, given that the level of performance dropped last year, and now he's got off the field concerns. Feels like it very well may.
Yeah, he wasn't great last year on the field. Off is its own
Do you know
separate.
what he was? Do you know what he was last year?
I don't. I don't have it in front of me.
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Is he better than I think?
No.
Yeah, I thought he was bad, but I couldn't.
So Justin Tucker career is 89.1, which is the all-time leader in that.
Mm-hmm.
From 2016 to 2021, he was never below 90% if you are rounding up from 89.7. Then he went 86% in 22, 86.5% in 23. Last year, 73% field goals made, lowest of his career. He was 11 of 19 from 40-plus yards. That's where all 8 of his misses were, 11 of 19. To put that in perspective, he had been significantly better than that in many, many years. One year he was 19 for 21 in 2021 from more than 40 yards. In 2016, for more than 40 yards, he was 24 of 24.
Never missed.
Never missed.
Yeah, so they don't have any questions. So to answer that, yeah, it probably does. Pittsburgh, will Aaron Rodgers sign with the Steelers? Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
You're saying 100%.
Yep.
Why not? Why hasn't it happened?
I don't know.
He doesn't want to miss voluntary things and then be like, why aren't you there with a new team? So he just would rather just skip it altogether.
I don't know. I can't get in the dude's mind, right? Like nobody can, so I'm not going to pretend that I know what he's thinking. But at the same time, I just think it's impossible that a team that smart would operate in an off-season in this fashion where they do not have the answer at quarterback, and that to not even participate in any of the free agent quarterbacks that are out there or the people who are available via trade. They punted on all of that, so they didn't draft one early. You do not go into next season with that roster with Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and Will Howard. You don't.
Let me just tell you something right now.
Go ahead.
I've heard
Oh, boy. Easy.
that the winds of change
Oh, my gosh.
are blowing through the Steel City.
If that is the case, and the winds of change are indeed blowing, why would their draft have not reflected that better?
Because their roster is positioned for it as it currently is constructed.
Well, we'll see.
Yes, we will.
What do you think is more likely? My thinking, which is on the record, or your thinking, which I know what it is, and few will relatively soon, I would assume.
I think they're both equally likely.
percentage you think Rodgers signs with them?
55.
G-Man?
Well, that wouldn't make them equally likely.
Well, it would.
Great job out of the G-Man.
Because
it's all in the semantics. What's your number on Rodgers signing with the Steelers?
72%.
I just think if he wanted to be there, he would be there.
Unless maybe it is just so simple as like, I don't want to go to any of the mini camp stuff. I don't want to go to the involuntary.
And I think it could be
you're
that
going to come in
simple.
and learn a new offense, and you're going to say, I'm going to take the entire first part of the offseason off, and we're going to be like, cool with that?
I think he has his own set of rules he lives by.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
I asked, when I had Pryor on yesterday, Brooke, I asked her, I said, do they want him? She's like, eh. Like, I asked the fans, I'm like, do they want him? And she said the fans are kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the
Kinda
fans would
mixed.
rather have Will Howard.
Oh, that would win.
I think
for them. Yeah.
I
think if they I think some of it is self-preservation. I think they don't want to get excited that they're going to get him and then have it pulled out from under them and then they look silly.
Like with the Ayuk thing.
Yes, so it's I think a little bit of self-preservation. Like, we don't even really want him, so that if he says no, because this is the only place he can play right now, barring an injury somewhere in the league, this is the only place he's going to play. So to me, this is a little bit of like protect yourself from that perspective. That's kind of where I am with it, but we'll see. I still think he's going to play there.
This is what I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
I think he wants an injury to happen somewhere that he finds to be more desirable. So when I say 55%, I do think he has an opportunity to...
So that would be the definition of what you just described would be what? Minnesota?
Yeah.
A return to Green Bay with the Jordan Love injury.
McCarthy gets hurt. Brock Purdy gets hurt.
Okay. San Francisco.
Stafford gets hurt.
Ramit.
Joe Burrow gets hurt.
To me, it just feels like to take that path as someone who still views themselves, obviously, as a starting quarterback and a good one. If you're not how do you prepare for chaos?
How'd Joe Flacco prepare?
But I don't think Joe sat there and was thinking what happened was going to happen.
Agreed. 100%.
Like, I think he was like, I'm good with my retirement. If
100%.
nobody else wants me, that's fine. I'm going to spend time with my – and we'll ask him if we ever get him on the show.
Yeah.
We'll ask him. But, like, the reality is that I think for Rodgers, if your idea is I'm going to be a starting quarterback, that you'd have to prepare that way physically and mentally. He's not that far removed from an Achilles. So, like, to just kind of so, like, would he ever go through, like, the idea of preparing himself to play a season to sit and wait and hope that somebody gets hurt? I just don't know that you would do that from a mental standpoint.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? My hunch is he's going to play there, and I think they already know it. Cincinnati, what does the draft mean for Trey Hendrickson? So they went all defense. Linebacker in round 2. A lot of people think they reached on the defensive end out of Texas A&M.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that was very speculative. I think it probably means is his time over there, but that would be so incongruent with everything they're doing.
I don't think so. I think talking to folks down there, I think what they think is
this is succession planning.
Sure, and they need depth. I mean, because they lost Hubbard too.
Yep.
So he's already
Retired.
gone. So they needed another one. And I think the one thing that they bet on, and it seems like they may win, is that remember they gave Trey Hendrickson a permission to go seek a trade, and that market isn't maybe as robust as Trey Hendrickson thought it was going to be.
Yep.
And so their thinking now is, hey, he's going to come back here and play. We can redo this contract and we can give him a little bit of a bump, but we don't have to approach the Miles number for him, or that now I guess the Jamar number. We don't have to do that. So like, there's probably a path back for him that you didn't think would have been the case a month and a half ago. So I think he's going to be a
He should be. I don't see why he wouldn't be. You're asking me. He absolutely should be.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the way they feel down there. And the question for us is, who will rise from a suddenly crowded quarterback room?
It's going to be fun to see. It is going to be fun to see.
I can't think of another word to say it, so this is just this is the one that I will use, although sometimes there's a negative connotation to this word. Kevin Stefanski can approach the quarterback position in 2025 without agenda.
Yeah. Let the best man win.
So he didn't have to. He's not trying to make the offense fit with Baker, and Baker's the guy who's the number 1 overall pick. Not having to do it with Watson, where they went and acquired Watson, and let's put him in the best position to succeed. What does he like? What do I like? He's got 4 guys. May the best man win.
Yep.
That's a pretty good spot.
100%. 100%. I like it. And you got 3 guys who are young on rookie deals, talented, who have an opportunity to really go and compete. I think the hardest part is going to be, how do you structure this as a fair competition? Like, do you almost need, you have 90 guys. That's the good thing for the whole offseason. Like, you almost need to have kind of 2 things maybe going on at all times to be able to get that work.
Hoff kind of outlined that yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, like, this group here and this here.
Yep.
I think you know what you have in Joe.
Yes.
Like, that's known. So I think it's just the other 3. How do you fashion reps and looks to make sure that you know what you've got with all of them? All right, we'll do a little winner or loser coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
King Galley Chevrolet
Gets it down.
is a vehicle for every.
All right, Sam Monson going to join us coming up here at the top of the hour, NFL analyst, 33rd team. It's interesting. A lot of those, Monson, Renner, a lot of those guys who are driven by data love Dylan Gabriel. We'll ask Sam about him in a couple
yes,
minutes.
Yes, they most certainly do.
do.
We will talk about that. They do. And it's this. That's why part of this I can't wait to see. There are so many people that believe in the talent of Dylan Gabriel. There are a lot of people that believe in the talent of Shedeur Sanders. And there are people that really think that Kenny Pickett, away from Matt Canada with an opportunity in this offense, should thrive. They all win kind of in the same way. And so there's a great deal of excitement to see this competition and how it plays out. I wanted to update you, though, because I know that you were very, very excited about it yesterday. So I ended up going ahead and making my camo purchases.
Oh, yeah.
My hunting purchases are made.
Yeah, for the hunting trip.
I had talked to the Hoff, and I said, well, because I think it's going to be cold in the morning. You're like, how early are we doing this? And he's like, yeah, quite early.
Pre-sunrise, right?
And so I said, I can get – there's one of the hoodies that's like fleece lined and seems very, very warm. And then there's one that's more of a lightweight hoodie. And he said he would recommend that I get the lightweight hoodie because I'm going to layer. He said, but then you're going to probably, like, at some point we're going to get hot.
Yeah.
So then you want to be able to delayer. We ended up going with the original Bottomland camo.
Okay.
Which is this one here.
No, that's a good look. Yep.
Yep. So we got the hoodie. I got the pants. I'm ready to go. He said he will have the Elmer Fudd hat for me.
Lovely.
So one thing that I don't really have in my repertoire, and I think I'm going to be okay, but maybe I'm not going to be okay. I don't really have like what I would call hiking boots because that's not something that I do.
I don't think you need them.
But I got like black sneakers that I thought I'd just wear something that I don't care if it gets muddy.
I would say, do you have like a waterproof golf shoe?
I do.
That would probably might be a good choice depending on if it's like a sneaker type.
Yeah.
Waterproof golf shoe. That would be good.
White though. Is that too bright for the eyes of the turkey?
I don't know if that would matter or not. But yeah, I would want something waterproof because you're going to go out early in the morning, so you're going to have a lot of dew.
A lot of dew.
So anything cloth is just going to soak it up and your feet will freeze, and you can't have that.
Can't have it.
So you need to have some sort of a waterproof. I got a pair of Adidas NMDs that are waterproof, like a Gore-Tex pair that I got for walking the dog.
Those ones with like the fur lined?
No, they're not fur lined.
No?
They're just like an NMD, but they're just waterproof.
Okay.
But those are pretty. And then, you might have a dual purpose for those, like walks with Asa Woody, for example. You could do that. Take her on a long walk in the winter.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to be out there walking young Zogs.
No, Zogs at a baby Bjorn, baby. That's going to be unbelievable. That's going to be great. Sam Monson going to join us coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right, second hour, Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head out on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. He is a great friend of the program, Sam Monson, NFL analyst at the 33rd team, co-host of Check the Mic, joining us now. Sam, thank you so much for taking the time. So going into the draft, one thing Nathan and I and kind of everybody around the Browns who are around him every day kind of thought is you pick Travis Hunter unless you get a Godfather offer. Did they get one? And if so, or if not, what did you make of what they did big picture on the draft weekend?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a Godfather offer, but I think it was a pretty good offer and a deal that you can definitely defend taking. A lot of it depends on what you think of Mason Graham as a prospect, and he was a guy that didn't get that much kind of conversation around him this draft process. We sort of focused on, the Travis Hunters, the Abdul Carters. And Mason Graham, coming into the process, I think, was seen in that same group. And then maybe when we saw the measurements and it turned out he wasn't 320 pounds and he didn't have long arms and he wasn't the physical prototype, I think he slipped into the next category for a bunch of people. But I think you could argue that Mason Graham on the football field is maybe the best player in this draft, certainly up there with the top blue chip guys. And so when you factor in the rest of that deal, it's basically Mason Graham and two more players, including a first rounder next year for Travis Hunter. And I think that's entirely defendable, even with Travis Hunter being this unique prospect and we don't quite know what he could be value-wise based off, being a two-way player at the next level. There's a lot of unknown and therefore sort of theoretical ceiling to Travis Hunter that's kind of untapped in the last, several decades of NFL prospects.
Sam, so we started obviously with Mason Graham. When you just kind of step back from it, we'll get into some specific players and, of course, the quarterbacks. But Mason Graham and then Schlesinger. So you used to go defense, which I think surprised a lot of people. Then it's all offense. You get two running backs, two quarterbacks, and a tight end in Harold Fanden. What did you make of the Schlesinger pick at 33 and then kind of just the overall offensive haul? And did you take a message away? What were the Browns trying to accomplish in this draft in your mind?
I think, honestly, the Browns just drafted best player available when they came up. Maybe you could argue that's not the case for Quinshon Judkins, though I think from the sounds of it, other teams had him valued in that kind of area as well. So it's a kind of debatable point, right? You can at least understand that they felt that way for him. And I think that kind of really explains their entire draft. And sometimes I think overall drafting best player available, just taking the guys you think are really good, is a good drafting strategy, but sometimes it does mean that when you come out of the draft at the end of it and you sort of look at the overall haul of players, you go, well, we didn't hit this position or we didn't find cover at this spot. You don't necessarily tick off all of the needs that you would have on the roster. So I think that's the criticism of this draft, if you want to level one at it, is because they just drafted the guys that they thought were basically the top guy on the board. They didn't necessarily hit the exact positions that you would want them to hit if they were drafting in that way as their overall overarching philosophy. But in terms of the players they picked, I think they just grabbed good football players all the way down.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you let's talk about that running back room a little bit, because when you address it as bigly as they did over the weekend, that tells you, I think, that you're going back, and obviously Fannin at tight end, you're going to go back to what Kevin Stefanski, what he made his bones doing, which is wide zone and a lot of 12 personnel and multiple tight ends. When you think about that, what does that fit like with Quinshon Judkins especially, and then Sampson as well?
Yeah, and Judkins can be the kind of bell cow running back in an offense, and I think that's why they sort of targeted him over different running backs that they could have drafted or could have gotten later in the draft. Judkins is the guy that can carry the workload, that can do everything, that can have a really high level of involvement in the offense. Ohio State used him, as a hammer more than anything else, and I think he's capable of doing more than that. He's maybe, after Omarion Hampton, he might be the second most physically impressive running back in this draft as a sort of overall package when you factor in size, strength, athleticism, all that kind of stuff. I think earlier in his career you saw he could do more than just be the hammer. Maybe is a little bit more limited than a guy like Hampton or certainly Ashton Genty at the top of this draft in terms of the number of ways he has to win, the number of moves and that kind of thing. But it's just a reliable, every down ball carrier, bell cow running back. I think he's a great addition. Dylan Sampson is almost sort of the opposite. He's the guy that can string together moves without thinking about it. And even though he's much smaller, much more lightweight, I think he's actually really, really impressive in terms of just has so many different ways to win. Has every move you can think of, can string them together and do it in sequence without thinking. His big question, really, it's not even the size to me. I'm not too concerned by that if you're not going to have him as a massive bell cow. It's that offense at Tennessee is such a difficult offense to project anything coming out of because it's so far divorced from anything you're going to see at the NFL level. So, in the NFL, you talk about light boxes, and we're talking about 6 guys in the box. He was running against 5 guys in the box, and there was a legitimate, 4-man front that I saw. Nobody except 4 guys in the box on more than one occasion when you were watching that Tennessee offense. And, you've got 5 offensive linemen to begin with. So if you're running against a 4-man box, there's automatically like 5-10 yards to be picked up just by running in a straight line.
Yeah, and hopefully the idea is you're going to they're going to wear him down, a little thunder and lightning pairing there. What did you think of Harold Fannin, who obviously was so productive at Bowling Green, pick number 67, and the Browns wanted to get back into more 12 personnel, the idea of being able to pair him, who can probably not be as attached as much, but in the slot, even out wide at times with David Njoku?
Yeah, absolutely crazy production in college. Like, there have been a couple of tight ends in the last few years who basically were the offense in college. Usually it's a running back or maybe a wide receiver that takes the entirety of the system. But Trey McBride, when he was coming into college before he went to the Cardinals, and then Harold Fannin, those were the guys that they were the offense. And Harold Fannin is dynamic. I think people maybe expected him to test a little better and put up more crazy athleticism numbers. Didn't quite have that, and he's got a sort of slightly unusual running style, almost like bow-legged or knock-knee the way he moves around, but he makes people miss, and he's dynamic and athletic and has good hands. I think you're right. They're going to use more two tight end sets, and I think he can definitely be a significant receiving threat within that type of offense.
Sam, Dylan Gabriel was, according to Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, their number 2 quarterback on the board behind Cam Ward. So Cam Ward 1, they had Dylan Gabriel number 2. What do you see from Gabriel on tape? Obviously highly efficient at Oregon, but what did you see on tape, and in terms of how that tape would fit what Kevin wants to do offensively?
Yeah, so I can't get to the second best quarterback in this draft with Dylan Gabriel, but I think I ranked him 4th. I think Steve, my podcast partner, had him somewhere in the top 5, and Mike Renner, a former colleague of ours, and that was CBS Sports, I think he had him as the 3rd quarterback in this draft. So as a collective, we were definitely higher on Dylan Gabriel than most people. I think he gets kind of mislabeled a bit because he's short, right? So we see these short quarterbacks, and we tend to think of them as having marginal NFL tools and, not really having the physical skill set to succeed at the next level across the board. But actually, if you watch Dylan Gabriel, he's got a really good arm, not just not just a better arm than you think for a short guy. I mean, he's got a really legit cannon on him. And he's more athletic than you give him credit for as well. And even though he's short, he's stocky. He's thick. He's not a slight quarterback that you're sort of worried about taking hits like Bryce Young was. He's got some power to him. So I think Dylan Gabriel's actually got some pretty impressive physical tools, and obviously is incredibly experienced, has played a ton in college. And we were sort of talking about him as, look, he's probably a backup quarterback at the next level. But if you were picking one of those backup level quarterbacks and asking, like, which is the one guy that's going to defy expectations and overachieve and become a surprise starter out of that group, I think Dylan Gabriel was the guy that we were all zeroing in on and saying, I could definitely see that guy overachieving and, outperforming a middle round draft pick. So I have no problem where they drafted him. I think we were higher on him than the consensus, but that's a perfectly acceptable range, I think, to draft a guy like that. And I do think he has the tools to potentially succeed and become a starter.
Is this if you were going to say the type of offense you wanted Dylan Gabriel to go at, to be that guy who would exceed expectations, is the Kevin Stefanski offense, is that the right spot for him?
I mean, I think Kevin Stefanski's offense is the right spot for most quarterbacks. I think it's a good offense. It's a quarterback-friendly system. There aren't many quarterbacks that I think don't naturally fit particularly well within that offense. Now, ironically, the Browns went and traded the farm for one, which doesn't help. But, I think Dylan Gabriel fits within that offense. I think Shedeur Sanders fits within that offense. I think it's a good system for either of those guys to show the best that they can bring to the table at this level.
To that end, I think once they picked Dylan Gabriel, we thought that was it, right, at that position, Sam. Then they picked Shedeur Sanders, who most people had rated significantly ahead of Dylan Gabriel, and I think who very, very few people, if any, on the planet thought that he would be picked number 144 in this draft. Obviously, we know now that the pre-draft process was not up to the level that teams around the league had expected, and that takes the fall for a guy who was either a first or a second round talent based on most people's tape evaluation, and those who weren't detractors said, oh yeah, he's a good second round pick. He goes in the 5th. What do you make of Shedeur Sanders, the player? We know why he fell where he did, and then what that can mean for the NFL, what that can mean for Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett and Kevin Stefanski here in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he's a first or a second round talent on pretty much everybody's evaluation on the field. It's a difficult evaluation because the offensive line, the protection at Colorado was horrific, like an absolute travesty. And I think that completely muddies the picture in terms of Shedeur's relationship with pressure and how he's going to handle that at the next level. And that was his biggest flaw, certainly last season, was how many sacks he takes, how many bad sacks he takes. But we don't know what that looks like if you change the dynamic and you change just the volume of pressure you put him under. You think back to Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, when Greg Robinson was Baker Mayfield's left tackle, it changed everything about the way Baker Mayfield played the game, right? Even on the plays where he wasn't getting pressured, he was leaning away from that left tackle spot. It just got in his head, and you started to change the way you play the game. Now think about all 5 of your offensive linemen are basically Greg Robinson. That's what Shedeur Sanders was dealing with at Colorado, and it has to change the way you behave, not just under pressure, but on the plays where you're not pressured. So I think what we saw was a guy who has, first or second round talent, depending on how you evaluate and project those things, who fell as far as he did because of all the other stuff, because of whether it's handling the pre-draft process, rubbing teams the wrong way, whether it's the Deion Sanders factor, all of those different things. And the Browns, effectively had taken him off the board. We're saying, well, he's not worth the first rounder at the top. He's not worth the second rounder. And we like Dylan Gabriel, maybe more, maybe less. Who knows whether they're sort of accurately telling the truth with that. But we like Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd as a better option. But at some point, quarterback is such a payoff. And, you have to have the self-awareness to know that nobody is particularly good at evaluating these guys. So it becomes a worthwhile roll of the dice, right? If they take Shedeur Sanders in the 5th, even though they think there's a very small chance that he works out, if he does work out and he's a 5th-round draft pick, it's the best pick they made this draft. And if he doesn't work out, a 5th-round draft pick is so low that there's no downside. If he comes in with an entitled attitude and causing problems and is a headache, you can cut him in training camp, and it's not a big deal. I mean, 5th-round picks don't make the roster relatively regularly. So I think they just reached a point in the draft where they decided there was no downside to this move, and the potential upside is huge.
Sam, how do you you're looking at the tape. You're a tape guy, right? We look at the tape, and you have these opinions on these guys. How do you compare Gabriel and Sanders' strengths, weaknesses?
I think Shedeur Sanders is the most accurate quarterback in this draft class. I think he reads through a defense pretty well. I think Gabriel has better physical tools, strange as it sounds, for a short quarterback, but I think he's got a better arm. I think he's more athletic. I think he's more dynamic when he's moving around. But I think Shedeur Sanders is a better pure passer of the ball. He's more accurate. He's got better poise. He's able to layer the ball better. I think he's able to read defenses a little bit better at this point as well. So I think they're very different players. Mm-hmm. But as I said, I ranked them reasonably close together. I had Sanders as my 2nd quarterback in this draft based on the tape, and I had Gabriel as the 4th.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, can you recall a time like this where you're going to have really up, and Bo said earlier, like they really can go into this with no bias whatsoever and just have a real quarterback competition. You got obviously Joe Flacco, who's been here and won games. Kenny Pickett's won 15 games in the NFL and a former first rounder in his own right. But this is going to be such a unique situation. How do you even kind of, in your mind, what are you hoping to see from these guys, and maybe even how the Browns approach this to try to really figure out, okay, who is the best one for us now and in the future?
Yeah, I mean, for the Browns, the best thing that can happen for them is either one of those two guys wins the job and looks like a future quarterback, looks like a potential starter, not just this year, but in 2026 and 2027. If they need to go with Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, it's not the worst thing in the world, because that's the other part of this, the trade at the top of this draft is they are now positioned with 2 first-round picks next year. So they've bought themselves time to get to next year, when they might have a better shot at a quarterback that they do really like at the top of this draft, right? So next year, it's always too early to say accurately what next year's draft class is going to look like from the quarterback point of view. But if they really thought that this was basically a one quarterback draft, it was Cam Ward at number 1 and then a big gap to anybody else, and really only Cam Ward was a true sort of franchise quarterback that you're willing to just toss the keys to right away and be comfortable with for the next 10 years, next year probably has more than that. We don't know how many yet, but it's probably going to have more than one that falls into that category. So Cleveland has already hedged in a really smart way by getting those 2 first-round draft picks, and they've bought themselves that time. So I really think you just go in there, you figure out who's going to be the nominal starter, day one of training camp, and then you just give these guys reps with the first team and see who emerges. See who puts their hand up and shows not just the best play, but some kind of leadership quality, and is a guy that the team will rally around and all those kinds of things. But yeah, it should be as open a competition as you're going to find in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Sam, you're the best, man. Thank you so much for the time. Greatly appreciate you.
Anytime, guys. Take it easy.
All right, there you go. Sam Monson, NFL analyst at the 33rd team, co-host of the Check the Mic podcast on the Twisted Tea hotline. This happens in college all the time, like 4-person quarterback competitions or 3-person quarterback competitions. It happens all the time. I can't ever recall it where theoretically you'd have 4 guys on a relatively equal footing. Now you're going to have, what Joe is. Obviously they had Dylan ahead of Shedeur in terms of their evaluation.
For sure.
So there's some certain things that are built in. But an instance where truly 4 people are competing for one spot, I have no point of reference on that in the NFL.
I mean, either. That's what I was asking. It's just absolutely wild. So it's
there are rookies who compete that are drafted high that are competing against veterans trying to hold on to job. Fine, but not.
No.
What's the last one?
I don't think there is.
Have we had one
like
here in
this.
your life where it was like a true anyone can win? Like Hugh wasn't going to do that with Bake and Tyrod.
No.
That was my first year.
Yeah. Tyrod was going to start. I mean, I guess when
did we settle on Tyrod or Tyrod? How did he leave here?
I think he left here at Tyrod. I think
we
all thought it was Tyrod.
It was Tyrod. Then he had a presser,
and he's changed it to Tyrod.
And then it was like, wait, what?
Yeah. It was always Tyrod Taylor, and then it became Tyrod Taylor.
Okay, yeah.
Very.
What about like the
got
Hoyer
a lot
year?
of sartorial splendor. No, I think the one that was really a competition might have been like the Brock Osweiler, Kaiser.
Oh yeah,
but that
stakes
tough.
The same, yeah.
Yeah,
it's rare, very rare to see.
Yeah. It's a very unique situation. I certainly hope that the Browns, and I know Kevin's fans. These are people who are very, very smart about this, but I really think they're going to figure out what the right way to do it is.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest with you. I really think any of them could be the answer.
Buddy, it's completely without agenda.
That's
best man win.
Very few things truly are without agenda, but yes, I think this has an opportunity to truly be that.
Yeah. All right, Mailbag is open. We will do that coming up next. Before we get to that, though, I do want to point out this. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today. Get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet is official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Browns fans, Barking Backers, official dog fan club of your Cleveland Browns. It's back for the 2025 season. Get your pup in on the action with exclusive gear, events, and more. Memberships available now. Fetch yours today or gift a membership to a furry friend at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers is presented by Milkbone. It's an association with Embrace Pet Insurance and Pet Supplies Plus. It is a Thursday. It is 2:30. I see some relatively scary clouds that are encroaching.
Let's stay calm.
I am, but that's not what it looked like an hour ago. That's all I'll say. It's time for the mailbag. Tweet us your questions at Browns_daily. Gibby's the only person I've ever heard use, or the first person I've ever heard use the phrase traveling music, and now I use it all the time.
It's a good
I'll
phrase.
use it like with the boys if we're like on the way to a lacrosse game or a sporting event. A little bit of traveling music, boys.
Yeah.
Let's go with a little traveling music.
Always ready for the traveling music.
Got to be ready for the traveling music, Kev. Yeah. How you doing, G-Man?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing just fine.
We're doing just fine, G-Man.
I'm getting a lot of people sending me various versions of the 100 Men versus the Gorilla.
Yep.
And it's a lot of like dudes being emphatic about their take on why the 100 Men would win or the one gorilla would win.
A lot of people have opinions on this. A lot
There
of
are.
people.
Yeah, lots of them. So I got another one that was like emphatically the human win. There's no question the humans would win. So yeah, that's making the rounds, G-Man.
It is the burning topic of the day. So we're gonna start with a different topic though.
Go wherever you'd like.
From Lance. I like this one a lot. You're opening a restaurant in Cleveland. What's the theme and signature dish?
White tablecloth, steakhouse, sports bar.
Okay.
Great bourbon selection.
Sounds like the Galaxy.
There's one other
Wadsworth.
thing we'll add, but we'll do that in New Mexico.
Yeah, later.
But I want a copious amount of TVs. I want a great meal. I want a dark ambiance. I wouldn't even mind like those little lamps that are like little those guys.
Sure.
Let me that. Dark ambiance. Bottles of liquor on walls. Rich mahogany.
Very rich
mahogany. I want a club chair. Leather club chair that fits the back.
You are describing the Galaxy in Wadsworth, Ohio.
And I got to go there.
It's a gorgeous establishment.
My buddy Sean Horner is a fine Wadsworth Grizzly alumnus. I'll see if he'll take me there. What was the name of this place?
It is called the Galaxy Restaurant.
The Galaxy.
You got the Circle L Steakhouse in one part of the building, and then in the other part of the building, you have the sports bar. It's great.
No, but I want it all one.
You want it all in one.
I want it all in one.
So it's not all in one, but it.
But I want take that and then one,
and then mash it together.
Yeah, that's.
You should still go check it out.
Right,
I think it's great. Not
I'm
sponsored.
going to text him right now.
Love a dog today.
Hold on.
Let the kid eat. Let the kid eat.
Hold on, just a second. He took the concept, so I'm going to give you some of the signature dishes.
Yep.
Number one, we are going to have tableside Caesar, obviously. We're going to have tableside hand-carved prime rib.
Ooh, I love that.
To your thickness.
Yep.
We are also going to have, at the end of the night, a tableside flambéed bananas Foster. Some of the apps that you will find on our restaurant.
I love everything about that.
There will be incredible sushi at this restaurant. Obviously, a jalapeno hamachi is going to be well featured and it's going to be delicious.
Of course.
One of the signature items is going to be a king crab leg, just the meat already deshelled,
Yes, of course.
and it is going to be lightly tempura'd, lightly battered, tempura fried, and it is going to be served in a bed ranging of your desired spiciness in an Indian curry style sauce or a Thai style curry sauce. I had this once in Atlanta. I will never forget it, and I want to recreate it. And so that's what it's going to be.
God, I love that.
We are going to have. Are you familiar with soup dumplings? Anyone? A soup dumpling?
I think you and I did a topic on soup dumplings.
They're
once.
unbelievable. We are going to have a soup dumpling that is going to be unlike any other soup dumpling in the world. I said earlier, we're going to have tableside hand-carved prime rib.
Soup dumplings that people have never seen before.
We are going to have a soup
some
dumpling.
say they're the greatest soup dumplings in the world that they've ever seen.
No, just listen. You might tell me what you think. So it's going to be your soup dumpling.
Yeah.
A normal soup dumpling is filled with like a chicken broth and then either like chicken or pork, depending on what or what you want. This is going to be a soup dumpling that is going to be filled with basically like a puree that becomes a clump of meat, of prime rib, and the soup isn't going to be soup at all.
No.
It's going to be au jus.
It's going to be au jus. Of course it's going to be au jus.
Why has this not ever been made in the world?
Why is that not done? Who wouldn't want that?
I want it.
We need a restaurateur in town. We're in. You're welcome.
You're welcome. I mean, our apps are going to be, and I have so many other app ideas.
So many app ideas.
Very good. I've got side ideas that are just delightful. But that soup dumpling where you're going to bite in and what you're going to get is hot au jus with your prime rib in there, like a one-biter prime rib, plus with the dough of, I mean, please.
That's a delight.
You're welcome.
So sticking on the restaurant/eating out theme.
Yeah.
Love a Dog today asks, when dining out, how long is the offer of a taste of your dish valid? Is it at the time of offering or any time when you still have food?
It's at the time of offer. You got one chance. Hey, you want to try a bite? If you say no,
that's it.
You can't come back in.
No. If you say no, I think what you can say
is, in the beginning, I'm going to ration off a certain amount to be shared, and that's fine.
Okay, you're a lot nicer than I am.
But once I start getting into it, no. So, and I would also say that the people I would share with would be a very short list.
Very short list.
For them to wet their beak.
Yes, very short list. What I would say is you, at the time of ask, you can either take that bite now. Mm-hmm. You can make a request, hey, just save me a bite. I want that to be like my dessert. But you have to understand that it is in the sharer's purview to say, you know what, that's a bad scenario for you, knowing me, because I just might eat that last bite.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, if you want a bite and you want me to save it for you, you're going to be the one with the willpower. I'll cut you the bite now. It's on your plate, your business. But if you don't take
on my plate.
off of my plate when I make that offer, all bets are off. Because how am I supposed to remember that if I'm
you're in the middle.
If
you're
I
in
become,
the throes of it.
Yes, if I become too excited and enamored with what I'm eating. For example, if you ask me, can I have one of those soup dumplings, the prime rib au jus filled soup dumpling? No is the answer. Let's get another order.
That's the other thing. You want one, order it.
Order it.
I'm not restricting what you can order.
I'll help you.
Order whatever you want.
And I'll help you. I'll be there. Don't worry about it.
Have you gotten the point with your kids where, like, NBC's doing this now, where he just will order, he will try it, he will attempt to, and a lot of times he does it just to get my reaction. He will, like, say, I think I'm going to have the bone-in Wagyu ribeye.
The most expensive thing on the menu.
And every time, he loves it. Every time I go, oh, you think you are. That's how you think this is going to go? Can I shoot a hamburger? Yeah. But he will do that now.
I have naturally a pretty built-in, like, because of, the great El Boods, he's going to go in a certain direction that's going to keep costs down. So, and Arden happens to like steak, and she likes the filet mignon. So I usually, she usually goes for like an 8-ounce filet if we're out. But the truth is, I eat steak out when I am out of town. If we're in Indianapolis, I'll go to Elmo's. We were in Nashville. We went to Bourbon Steak, which I could not give a better recommendation to if anybody, next time you're in Nashville. But it is rare that in my home city I would go out for a steak because I love the steak that I make.
I'm the same way. I almost never eat steak here in the region. Usually it's out of towns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'd love to be in Nashville for a lot of reasons. Tommy Clayco asks, we heard the Hoff's answer on the Heights podcast, but if you could dispense a different fluid out of each finger, which fluids would you choose?
Pardon?
You hear this? So I asked Hoff about this yesterday. So on the Kelsey Brothers podcast, one of the questions that one of their listeners either called into or wrote in email, I don't know, maybe on social, was if you could dispense a different liquid out of each one of your 5 fingers, what liquids would you choose? So the Hoff went, and I think I have this right, he went Helles, which is that beer that he likes from Germany. He went milk. He went diesel fuel. He went very pragmatic, diesel fuel and the milk. I don't know if he got to all 5.
So I would be.
I mean, it's pretty easy though, I think, to do.
Like when I say that my finger can dispense wine, is it able to dispense
any wine you want?
Any wine I want?
Sure. Of course.
Wine?
Yeah, wine would easily
Tequila.
be a thumb. Fine.
Water, like you could never, like what if you end up stranded on a desert island and you're surrounded by nothing but salt water?
I think the odds of you being ever being on a desert island are
I feel like
very
there's a lot
slim.
of uses for that. You're out
You're
there
a
and
great
somebody
swimmer.
you
Like
can-
I think
yeah, but let's say somebody gets bit by something, you need to wash it out.
you're in some sort of a shipwreck. I think you're going to be okay. I don't think
think
you're going to
so?
end up on that island. I think you're always going to be able to swim to shore.
Well, I'll put the alcohol in the wound, I guess. Gasoline would be a pretty good. I think he's right about that. Has a great deal of value.
Not for us right now.
Not for you and I, but
So then
for
every
my
time
wife.
this K wanted to, you'd have to go. Well, I guess it wouldn't be that hard. Just walk into the garage. Psh,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty good.
By the way, what would you say? What about if it was just crude oil and you could just fill up barrels every day and just be selling them?
Now
That could
you're
be a job.
thinking.
Just be like,
Now you're
here,
thinking. Yeah, melted gold,
yeah, liquid gold.
liquid gold.
Now you're
Now you're talking.
Now you're thinking like Tommy Morris.
Yeah.
And then I think,
You know what I always like?
yeah, I would
It makes
want
me feel good when
wine, tequila, and then profit centers.
profit centers the rest of the way. Non-profit centers. One thing that I really enjoy when I have it, and it makes me feel good when I drink it, but I just think it seems like way too much of a pain in the neck to do on a regular basis, is like the green juice. Like if those are done right, I really enjoy those with like the apple and the all that setup. But it just seems like a pain in the neck to make, so I don't ever do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like you'd be very healthy consuming that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I like
as
that.
we get older. Yeah.
Maybe if you ate like a liquid. I wish one thing I could like swap seasonally. Like right now, I'd like to have like allergy medicine in there because this is driving me
It's
like
been bad, man. This has been a bad start to it, and we've had a lot of rain. So,
So I don't know if this is happening to anybody else. It's not really the most exciting conversation, but nonetheless, I don't know that I've ever experienced it quite this bad.
Yeah,
I wake up every morning with puffy, watery eyes,
yeah.
congestion, and then I have to get like some stuff out of me that must have accumulated over the night. And then by 11, I'm totally feeling normal again. But then it's happening every single morning. And by the end of the day, and I'm trying to like shower now. Like the last thing I do, I want to get all the pollen out. It's just, it's pollen's everywhere.
It is. It's a lot. I was doing some little power rationing around the landscaping, and I was noticing the amount of residue.
It's terrible.
Copious amounts.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Sophie wanted me to ask you guys, if you could go back in time and change the result of one sporting event, what would you choose?
Kirk Gibson's home run off of Dennis Eckersley. That was the one that probably hurt me the most in that moment as a youth.
And brought me a lot of joy on the other end of it.
That's when I would.
The idea that we were both watching it live.
It's also
rooting interest.
People just forget. Like
It was impossible.
Unfathomable.
It was impossible.
Eck he won the Cy Young that year.
He won the Cy Young.
He was lights out
as a reliever. Yeah.
As a closer. Yeah.
And Gibson
was hurt,
lumbered up there,
couldn't move,
could not move, fouled off 100
if I never
of
had
them.
to see this. Oh, goodness gracious!
So great.
That looked like another move.
Yeah. I mean, there's a billion I could do like in professional sports. You know, so you think of like, is there something that we were on the precipice of something? You know, like Chad Henne. I mean, I'd like to change that. It would have been fun to play in an AFC championship game, you know, that year. Yeah.
But
I think
Browns fans would probably go back to like
they'd go back
the drive or the fumble or
you go back to the 80s. But I mean, that's a long time ago now.
I know,
when you think about that,
you might have to tangle with Joe Montana, which is not going to be fun.
That's something I always bring up when we talk about that.
That Broncos team did not have success.
No, they did not. It didn't go well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, my last game of high school football my senior year was a painful. I just would like the weather to have been good.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen what would happen if we had good weather, and we had the worst weather possible for a team that threw it 50 times a game, and that was painful. That sucks.
Browns backers North Jersey asks, what yearbook-style superlatives would you give to each other, to Gibbe, to myself, and to Dr. J?
One for everybody, which is act accordingly. Act accordingly, boys. Know who you are.
Gibbe. There'd have to be something about him being a thief of joy.
He is a thief.
Nemesis.
He's such
to
a
frivolity.
righteous villain.
He is. He is a righteous villain.
Most likely to be a supervillain.
Well, I think like the henchman for a supervillain, Gibby would thrive in.
Oh yeah.
Like if you were a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kid, like he's a great Rocksteady or Bebop.
Oh
That's his operation. He's not Shredder.
That's like one of the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's a nasty boy.
That's who they were basically based on.
Were they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Who were the Nasty Boys? I remember the blonde guy.
Brian Knobs and Jerry Skaggs, I want to say. Could be the other way, but it's Knobs and Skaggs are definitely the Nasty Boys.
Why do I not remember the dark-haired guy at all?
Because Knobs was like the star. Knobs was really boys with the Hulkster.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Knobs guy, I remember him very well.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
sure.
Knobs for a while was like all over every Tampa Rays game when the Rays were like good, I want to say a decade ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He would like sit behind home plate. It was kind of curious. I think he's on some hard times and
oh no,
falling on some hard times in health. But yeah, look at them. I mean, don't they look just like the two guys?
They look just like them. Yeah, they look like Bebop and Rocksteady. Yeah, Gibby could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say G-Man most likely to come in a big way.
You always enter situations in a big way. The way that Shane's response to that, by the way,
Jordan.
it's amazing.
Most likely to be Jerry Rice-ish.
Ish.
He wants to know when you're throwing again.
I don't know. We'll talk. I'll let you talk to my client maybe one day, Dr. J. We're gonna have to have a talk.
Yeah. Bo, you'd be like to me most likely, and I mean this to be in with the highest esteem.
Yeah.
Most likely to be like Don Draper.
Oh God, we could have had such a great time in the '60s.
Rogers. Oh my goodness.
Best life ever. So good. So good.
Someday a book will be written, or maybe a 30 for 30, or in this case, what would be 60 now, a 65 for 65 will be written about how we got from point A
what happened
to point B.
So good.
For a certain segment, quite.
Well, how about it?
How about it? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's get another quick one in here.
Go ahead.
Derby City, Browns backers.
Yep.
What is your perfect drink to watch the Kentucky Derby? A
mint julep,
or would you prefer an old fashioned?
No, mint julep is great. Mint julep's really easy. It's a teaspoon of powdered sugar. It's a couple of teaspoons of water. It's 4 mint leaves. You just muddle that. You pour a couple ounces of your favorite bourbon. Woodford is the one I always lean on because it feels like it. They usually do the ceremonial bourbon bottle, so that feels like it to me. So I do that.
We have quite a few of those at my house.
Of course. And then all you got to do is go to like the Sonic and get yourself some of the Chewy Ice. You can buy the Chewy Ice bags from them, and you're set. And I'll be honest with you. I've had a mint julep at the Kentucky Derby. I've had a couple. They're delicious. They're really light. You think it would be like syrupy. It's not at all. It's very light. It's delicious. Yeah, julep.
Do you have an answer to that, Z?
Mint julep. It's the classic.
He'd like it. You'd like it.
Real quick, predictions for the Cavs-Pacers series.
Cavs 6.
I think It's weird. 6 is always a weird number because that means then you close them out on their court.
They should go back to 2-3-2.
Of course.
All across the board.
Of course they should.
All right, that's the mailbag.
Great job, G-Man.
Boy, this is a great one. We'll get on the other side. We have so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, this one from the Cleveland Bloke. He asked us, in lieu of 100 men versus gorilla, you can choose one of the following. Pick 2 to defend. They will defend you. The rest are coming to kill you. 50 eagles, 10 alligators, 3 grizzly bears, 15 wolves, 1 hunter with a rifle, 2, what looks like African buffalo, 10,000 rats, 5 silverbacks, 4 lions.
1 minute.
And pick 2 to defend you.
2 of those to defend me?
Everybody else is coming for you.
The silverbacks and the dude with a gun. Especially if is this an automatic weapon?
One thing about that is you're going to run out of artillery. I'd have to know what's in the magazine.
Well, yeah.
I got to know how many shots I get.
I got 4 silverbacks.
5 of them.
5
to
of them?
defend you against 4 lions, 3 grizzly bears, 15 wolves, 50 eagles, 7 water buffalo, and 10,000 rats.
30.
The rats are the problem.
I tell you what, I think the eagles would be a hell of a diversion. If the idea wasn't fight to the death, but like just flee the situation,
yeah,
50
then the
eagles
swarming, and then
I think
you're
the
running.
animals panic, and then I'm getting out of there.
But the guy with the rifle, I feel like if he's a good shot,
you pick him,
can take those
quick.
eagles pretty quick.
He could.
I feel like the gorillas are going to kill the rats very, very quickly.
It feels like it too.
But they could also, the rats, 10,000?
It's a lot of rats. Next level's next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 8:50 ESPN Cleveland.